Black crystal warmly greets everyone. People often say that nothing in this world can escape the laws of heaven and earth. Everything that happens in life is not random. Human destiny is not based on appearance, nor does it depend on Feng Shui, but primarily on cause and effect. We live in a world created by both the tangible and the intangible. Only by understanding the laws of the universe can you better control your life. Please patiently watch today's content, as it might answer many questions in your heart. One day, you were rushing to meet an important client when you saw an elderly couple with a flat tire on the road. In a hurry, you didn't want to stop and help, but your conscience wouldn't let you ignore them. Finally, you decided to stop and help them change the tire. After finishing, they wanted to pay you, but you refused and wished them luck. Then, you continued on your way. When you arrived at the meeting, you found that the client was even later than you. Not only that, they were in a great mood and quickly signed the contract. At that moment, did you feel lucky? In reality, this wasn't luck but the law of the universe. In this world, there is one thing that cannot be avoided: cause and effect. So, what is cause and effect? Essentially, it is the law of causality in physics. The conditions you have are the cause, and the results you receive are the effect. It's like solving a formula: all the data are the causes, and the result is the effect. Just as there is a law of causality in physics, our lives also operate according to this law. What you do determines the results you receive. Choices are also part of cause and effect. Whether you choose to study or not, your future path will be very different. Young people who want to find someone to love must first improve themselves. It could be fate, a house, a car, all these are essential. Later, who they end up with and how it affects them is the effect. Simply put, human life is like a physics formula. The results we receive are the effects of the causes we've sown. There's a saying: first is destiny, second is luck, third is Feng Shui, fourth is virtue, fifth is education, sixth is reputation, seventh is relationships, eighth is reverence for the divine, ninth is meeting noble people, and 10th is nurturing life. A person's fate is actually connected to countless people and events. Especially, luck and the opportunity to meet noble people are things that cannot be forced. Once, two brothers left their hometown to start a business in the city. 10 years later, the older brother had bought a house, settled down, and thrived in the city. Meanwhile, the younger brother had to return home empty-handed. Upon closer examination, I discovered that the older brother always met noble people who helped him, making his career path smooth. The younger brother, however, not only failed to meet noble people but also encountered many petty individuals who hindered him. What more could he do? A professor once said that whether you meet noble people or not depends on fate. Fate is like an invisible net, guiding us in ways we cannot change. It decides the direction we take. Being recognized by others as lucky is your fate. Conversely, not being recognized is also your fate. As the ancients said, sow melons, reap melons, sow beans, reap beans. If you want to harvest sweet fruits tomorrow, you must sow good seeds today. In this world, everything has a cause and an effect. The rise and fall of tides, the ups and downs of life, the waxing and waning of the moon, the joys and sorrows of human relationships, good and evil, gain and loss, honor and disgrace, all have causes and effects. As the saying goes, bodhisattvas look at causes, while ordinary people look at effects. This one sentence reveals so much about life and worldly calculations. Most people only care about immediate benefits and don't plan for the long term. They focus on results, not the initial causes. In contrast, wise and intelligent people value causes deeply, understanding the law of cause and effect. That's why they are careful in their words and actions, fearing that one wrong step will lead to suffering later. Today, we will discuss the most important laws of cause and effect that everyone should pay attention to. First, the habit of complaining and blaming others can bring disaster. Life is 8 sufferings, and each is different. In reality, many people have developed the habit of complaining without realizing that it creates heavy karmic consequences, leading to many troubles. I have a friend who is a chef. He opened a restaurant but often complained that business was too hard. He said there were too many restaurants on the street, and the competition was intense. People these days are poorer. They rarely eat out. The weather has been cold lately, so people are reluctant to go out. I remember a few months ago, when his restaurant first opened, he complained that there were too few restaurants on the street. Only his restaurant was there, so no one came. When only his restaurant was there, he complained about the lack of competition, making it hard to do business. When more restaurants opened, he complained about the competition, still finding it hard to do business. Eventually, he had to close down. Later, he opened a few more restaurants, but none lasted long. The main reason was that he never stopped complaining. In reality, many restaurants in quiet alleys still attract customers. If you do well, people won't mind traveling far to find you. When we start complaining about everything, day after day, we gradually lose faith in life. If you move forward with a complaining mindset, how can you succeed? Zungo Fan once wrote a wise saying: "If you complain about heaven and earth without reason, heaven will make you suffer more. If you blame others without reason, people will not respect you. Complaining about minor misfortunes will only bring you more pain. If you blame others for everything, they will resent you. The habit of complaining is extremely foolish. Wise people never complain about suffering, while fools constantly lament their hardships. Suffering has already happened, complaining won't change the facts. If you study Jack Ma's life, you'll find that in the first 37 years, his life was full of failures. But after 37, he suddenly became incredibly successful. His secret can be summed up in 4 words: never complain. He said, "When I was 20 or 30, I was like everyone else, always complaining. I complained that my father had no status, that I applied for over 30 jobs and got none, but what good did complaining do? I realized early that seeking the future is far more important than complaining about heaven and earth." Bill Gates has 24 hours a day. Ordinary people also have 24 hours a day. Anyone can achieve success through effort. Whose life isn't full of suffering? The path of life is tough, but once you overcome it, a smooth road lies ahead. Remember, complaining about heaven and earth will only bring disaster. When the thought of complaining arises, you must immediately become alert and not let this negative emotion control you. Second, knowing contentment is the secret to a happy life. Lao Tzu once said, "There is no greater disaster than not knowing contentment. There is no greater mistake than insatiable greed." In fact, the greatest disaster in life is not knowing satisfaction, and the greatest mistake is insatiable greed. Contentment brings joy. There's a fable about a poor farmer who lived a simple life, barely making ends meet. Despite his humble life, every day before meals or sleep, he would burn incense hundreds of times to thank the gods for their blessings. His wife found this puzzling. "We eat simple meals every day. Why do you still thank the gods?" He replied, "We were born in peaceful times, not in war. Our family is harmonious, and our health is stable. Isn't that worth being grateful for?" Ancient texts say, "There is no greater joy than knowing contentment, and no greater suffering than constant complaining." The luckiest thing is learning to be content, while the most painful thing is excessive desire. Content people are always happy, and their bodies are healthy. Peace of mind and body is the greatest happiness. When greed takes over the soul, all kinds of desires arise, and disasters follow. Throughout history, countless people who didn't know contentment have fallen into the abyss of sin. In the history of the Qing dynasty, the most famous corrupt official was Hessian. Initially, when he first took office, Hessian was intelligent, quick-witted, and highly favored by Emperor Qianlong. Qianlong even promised to marry his youngest daughter to Hessian's son, making him a royal relative. But over time, Hessian's power grew, and so did his greed. He abused his power to manipulate the court and amass wealth. In the 4th year of Jiaqing's reign, Emperor Jiaqing ordered Hessian's dismissal and imprisonment. The wealth Hessian accumulated was astonishing, including silver, antiques, and livestock, surpassing the Qing dynasty's total financial income for 15 years. Just 15 days later, After Emperor Qianlong's death, Hessian was executed at the age of 49. From then on, he became the most infamous corrupt official in history, despised for generations. Greed is the root of all disasters. Human material desires are endless. As the ancients said, if the human heart is never content, disasters and sorrows will always follow. If you don't know when to stop, even building a house reaching the sky won't be enough. Insatiably greedy people, never satisfied, only bring endless trouble and suffering. Remember, contentment and being happy with what you have is true happiness. Third, you reap what you sow. Buddhism says, sow melons, reap melons, sow beans, reap beans. Where there is a cause, there is an effect. Where there is an effect, there must be a cause. The cycle of cause and effect never changes. It's like standing in a valley and shouting, "I like you," and the valley echoes back, "I like you too." It will never say, "I hate you." Therefore, to receive good results, you must sow good seeds. Kind people will surely receive good karma. In ancient times, there was a king who suffered from a strange illness, with his whole body itching and covered in red spots. The royal physicians tried all kinds of rare medicines, but the condition didn't improve. The king became angry and decided to stop taking medicine. One day, while traveling outside the palace, he met a young doctor. The doctor prescribed soaking rhubarb in water for 5 days. The king thought to himself, so many famous doctors in the palace couldn't cure this disease. How can such a simple remedy work? Seeing the king's doubtful expression, the doctor said, "Take it and try. If it doesn't work, I won't charge you." After using it, the king was cured in just a few applications. He returned to thank the doctor and wanted to reward him generously. However, the doctor firmly refused, saying, "I see your noble demeanor and only wish to befriend you." The king laughed and said, "With your excellent medical skills, I can recommend you to the palace as a royal physician. You'll enjoy wealth and honor, no longer needing to run this small clinic or live in poverty." The doctor replied, "Your Majesty, a doctor's duty is to heal and bring joy. Becoming a royal physician, though it brings wealth, would prevent me from helping the common people. That is not my wish. I only hope to establish a clinic to benefit everyone." Later, the king helped the doctor establish a clinic. From then on, the doctor's reputation grew, and his descendants prospered. Just do good deeds, and don't worry about the future. In life, as long as you diligently do good and live well in the present, blessings will naturally come without seeking. Always maintain a kind heart, as a single kind thought can bring countless blessings. Only kind people can reap good results. Fourth, blessings and disasters have no fixed door, they are all created by us. In the Tao Te Ching, there are 2 familiar lines: disaster is where blessing rests, blessing is where disaster hides. This means that when a person is full of blessings, they shouldn't be too complacent, as disaster may be lurking within. But when a person is in trouble, they shouldn't despair, as opportunities may be nearby. Lao Tzu clearly reminded us that blessings and disasters are closely intertwined and hard to distinguish. When faced with 2 doors, we don't know which leads to blessing and which to disaster. Stepping into the wrong door, it's hard to escape, while the door to blessing is right beside us, yet we don't choose to enter. This is like the saying, "Heaven has a road, but people don't take it. Hell has no door, yet people rush in." It's just bringing suffering upon oneself. Humans need self-reflection. We create many inventions initially intended to make life better, but in the end, many inventions become sources of disaster. For example, before currency existed, we didn't have the insatiable desire to get rich. Without money, there was no concept of earning money. It's undeniable that currency is a good invention that facilitates trade and commerce. But after its creation, many people quickly became slaves to it. Mobile phones were originally convenient tools for communication. But now, many children are addicted to them, playing all day, even unable to walk freely outside. Without phones, they feel like they're missing a vital part of life. There are many similar examples. Humans have become slaves to tall buildings, cars, and things they invented themselves. Can this still be called life? When a phenomenon appears, it often carries an opposing force within. For example, when you buy fresh fruit, it's sweet and fragrant, but after a few days, it starts to rot because bacteria were already inside, waiting to destroy it. External changes are hard to control, but we are inevitably affected. Moreover, these effects are enormous. Instead of worrying all day, it's better to go with the flow, do your best, and let things take their course. The Tao Te Ching says, those who align with the Tao is happy to fulfill them. Those who align with virtue is happy to fulfill them. But those who lose harmony with the Tao and virtue naturally suffer loss. Life is like a magnetic field. What you are determines what you attract. Fragrant flowers attract bees and butterflies, while cow dung attracts flies. As the ancients said, birds of a feather flock together. To know a person's character, just look at their friends. For example, someone with many drinking buddies is often worldly, calculating, and fond of factions. In contrast, someone with only a few close friends is usually mature, resilient, open-minded, and genuine. The magic of the law of attraction is that who you are determines who you meet and attract. The people you meet then determine who you become. Like frequencies resonating, people with similar aspirations easily understand and respect each other. Upright and kind people naturally attract positive, energetic individuals. Conversely, those indulging in pleasure and indulgence often only have friends who share their desires. Who are you? What you focus on is what you attract. This world is not random, everything and everyone gathering together has deep connections leading to cause and effect. Why do we emphasize self-cultivation? It's to build a positive attraction for oneself. If your thoughts are positive and uplifting, you will attract good things. Conversely, if you nurture negative and evil thoughts, negative elements will gather around you. Therefore, to take responsibility for your destiny and future, improve yourself and manage your life wisely to attract good and lasting things. Kind people will receive much help. In times of trouble, heaven will also protect them. If talent is a gift from heaven, then choosing to live kindly is each person's decision. Mencius once said, "The greatest virtue of a noble person is to treat others with kindness." No one's life is always smooth, and no one can always succeed without help. When others are in trouble, if you kindly help, good karma will surely come. In ancient times, there was a doctor who was not only skilled but also kind and loyal. One day, on his way back from the palace after treating a concubine, he saw an old man collapsed on the roadside due to illness. With the compassion of a doctor, despite objections, he decided to help and prescribed medicine for him. Later, when the doctor was framed and imprisoned, sentenced to death after autumn, the person who saved him was the old man's son. Indeed, heaven's way is impartial, but it often favors the kind. Heaven and earth may not distinguish between close and distant, but they surely favor those with kind hearts. Any kind word or thought is never wasted. Every kindness a person gives will eventually receive deserved blessings. When you treat others kindly, you also become a warm light, warming others and illuminating your own life. When the heart is open, the path of life becomes clear. A good heart brings good fortune. If the heart is always calculating, everywhere is full of complaints. But if you let go, every moment feels like spring. A heart as wide as the sea brings peace and calm to life. In the past, there was a scholar who passed the imperial exam and was soon appointed to a high position. When he took office, many were dissatisfied and often spoke ill of him behind his back. Once, an official pointed at him behind a screen and said to someone nearby, "With such little experience, how can he hold such a high position?" The scholar pretended not to hear, walked past the screen, and left. His servant felt indignant and wanted to find out who had spoken, but the scholar stopped him. He said, "If I know who it is, my heart will always be troubled by it. What's the point? Besides, he only spoke, it didn't harm me." When this story spread, people praised him for his tolerance. Thanks to this tolerance, he assisted the king in consolidating the court and became a respected minister. Life is short, the more you calculate, the less joy you have. Don't be too stubborn. There's a saying, "A heart wider by an inch, A path wider by a foot. Narrow-minded people find life's path increasingly cramped. Only with an open heart can the path become clear. Letting go brings brightness, a peaceful heart brings tranquility, a wide heart naturally attracts blessings. A person's fate may seem predetermined, but in reality, their actions, the events they encounter, and the people around them are all determined by cause and effect. The rise and fall of a person's life is nothing but kindness and tolerance. Kind-hearted people help others in difficulty. When they see others in danger, they bravely protect them. They always think of others, even willing to suffer losses rather than take advantage. Treat sincerely, without calculation. Such people, wherever they go, are trusted by others, willing to help, and often encounter unexpected luck. Generous people are open, generous, without calculation, always tolerant, do not fight for everything, do not intentionally cause trouble or hold grudges. Because of tolerance, others voluntarily come close. Thanks to generosity, others are willing to give their trust. Thanks to that, relationships become better and better, and more noble people appear. In this world, there is no luck without a reason, nor is there any success by chance. It is all up to you to decide. No matter how life treats you, I hope you always keep a good heart to unexpectedly encounter more good things. Wishing you a peaceful, safe, successful and happy life. Thank you for following until the end. If today's video is helpful to you, please click the like button to support. Leave a sentence.